Thank you for coming out, and welcome to the winter of our discontent. I'm Bonnie Zindel, and I started the Salon 8 years ago, and every year I try to do something very different. And so this year, we're doing something about creativity and the resistance and protest. And we want to do it through poetry, stories, and music, which I hope you will enjoy. So creativity is about the protest, but also we hope tonight it's going to be about hope and about beauty. And I think we could use a little bit of that around this time. So we're going to turn the thing over now to Mark, and we're going to start the program, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Okay, well, hello everybody. I was thinking, that I just wanted to say right out of the gate here that I think it's fitting that for an event like this, fitting for the spirit of an event like this, that today happens to be the 100th birthday of the late, great Jackie Robinson. And so that's pretty cool. And the Times today had a whole section on Jackie Robinson. And one of the things that they said was he was a person who refused to be deterred. Person who refused to be deterred. So thank you all for coming out. It's a wintry, cold night, which I think kept a lot of people in. So thank you all for coming out. We're going to start off with a song by a guy named John Prine. Some of you may know John Prine. The song actually relates somewhat to climate change and the denial of climate change. And also, the thing with John Prine, he really calls it like it is, because in some ways, even for the believers, right, which, the non-deniers, that we all still have some denial in some way. You sort of have to get through the day, and we get, sort of absorbed in our day-to-day stuff. So I think he gets at some of those ideas. It's called The Lonesome Friends of Science. Lonesome friends of science say the world will end most any day. And if it does, well, that's okay, 'cause I don't live here anyway. I live down deep inside my head. Long ago I made my bed. I get my mail in Tennessee. My wife, my dog, my kids and me. Poor old planet Pluto now never had a chance, no how. He got uninvited to the interplanetary dance, and once a mighty planet there, now just an ordinary star. out in Hollywood at some old funky sushi bar, and the lonesome friends of science say the world will end most any day. And if it does, well, that's okay, 'cause I don't live here anyway. I live down deep inside my head. Long ago I made my bed. I get my mail in Tennessee. My wife, my dog, my family. Just don't give a damn. His head is full of bumblebees. His pride hangs down below his knees. And Venus left him long ago for a guy named Mars from Idaho. Venus sent a wedding gift, three-legged stool and a wheelchair lift. Lonesome friends of science say the world will end most any day. If it does, well, that's okay, 'cause I don't live here anyway. I live down deep inside my head, where long ago I made my bed. I get my mail in Tennessee. My wife, my dog, my kids and me. Them bastards in them white lab coats experiment with mountain goats. Should leave the universe alone. Not their business, not their home. I go to sleep and it never rains. My dog predicts hurricanes. Smell a stormy mile away. That's all the news we have today.
Mark Singer.
Lonesome friends of science. Thank you. Okay.
Warmed up.
All right, so we're going to play another tune and then have some other people come up and switch it around a little bit. So this next song was written by a man named Phil Oakes. Some of you may know Phil Oakes. And Phil Oakes wrote this song 55 years ago, 55. But this song's been on my mind a lot in the last couple of weeks because I think that although it was written 55 years ago, there was no song that came to my mind more about why we definitely should not have a wall. This is the song.
Ooh, flying capos. Don't have to worry about that. Violins don't have capos.
Show me a prison, and show me a jail, and show me a prisoner whose life has gone stale. And I'll show you a young man with so many reasons why. There but for fortune goes you or I, you and I. And show me an alley, and show me a train, and show me the homeless who sleep out in the rain. And I'll show you a young man with so many reasons why. There but for fortune goes you or I, you and I. Show me the whiskey stains on the floor, and show me the drunken man who stumbles out the door. And I'll show you a young man with so many reasons why. There but for fortune goes you or I, you and I. Show me the famine, and show me the frail, and show me the sunken eyes that show how we failed. And I'll show you the children with so many reasons why. There but for fortune goes you or I, you and I. Show me the buildings, bombs had a fall, and show me the ruins of the buildings once so tall. And I'll show you a young land with so many reasons why. There but for fortune goes you or I, you or I. Thank you. There but for fortune.
Good evening. I'm Melissa Schaup. I'd like to take you back to January 21st, 2017, Washington, D.C. The day was uncharacteristically warm. It was also my son's first birthday. It feels like yesterday and ages ago. It's been a long 2 years. And now, I'd like to bring you some of the words of Gloria Steinem from that day. Friends, sisters and brothers, all of you who are before me today in 370 marches in every state in this country and on 6 continents, and those who will be communing with us at 1 p.m. in a silent minute for equality in offices, in factories, in prisons, all around the world. Thank you for understanding that sometimes we must put our bodies where our beliefs are. Sometimes pressing send is not enough. And this also unifies us with the many in this world who do not have computers or electricity or literacy, but do have the same hopes and the same dreams. I've been thinking about the uses of a long life, and one of them is that you remember when things were worse. We remember the death of the future with Martin Luther King, with Jack Kennedy, with Bobby Kennedy, with Malcolm X. Without those deaths, for instance, Nixon would not have been elected, and there would not have been many of the wars that we had. And when collectively violence against females in the world has produced a world in which for the first time there are fewer females than males. I'm not trying to deny the danger that this day initiates. Trump and his handlers have found a fox for every chicken coop in Washington, and a Twitter finger must not become a trigger finger. Just this march in Washington today required 1,000 more buses than the entire inauguration. 1,000 buses. And I was just talking with people from our many sister marches, including one in Berlin, and they asked me to send a special message. We in Berlin know that walls don't work. And remember Poland, where last month the government passed an anti-abortion law, and 6 million women turned out in the streets, and they had to change it. We are the people. Because this is the other side of the downside. This is an outpouring of energy and true democracy like I have never seen in my very long life. It is wide in age, it is deep in diversity, and remember, the Constitution does not begin with I, the president. It begins with we, the people. We are united here for bodily integrity. If you cannot control your body from the skin in, you cannot control it from the skin out. You cannot control your lives, our lives. And that means the right to decide whether and when to give birth without government interference. We are here and around the world for a deep democracy that says we will not be quiet. We will not be controlled. We will work for a world in which all countries are connected. God may be in the details, but the goddess is in connections. We are at one with each other. We are looking at each other, not up. No more asking daddy. We are linked. We are not ranked. And this is a day that will change us forever because we are together. Each of us individually and collectively will never be the same again. When we elect a possible president, we too often go home. We elected an impossible president, we're never going home. We're staying together and we're taking over. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Make sure you introduce yourselves to each other and decide what we're going to do tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And we're never turning back. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Iris Shout, and I'm going to be reading The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down in the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
Thank you. That was wonderful. You know what they say about following children and pets, huh? This is one of my very favorite poems by one of my favorite poets, Maya Angelou. And it's Caged Bird. And I hope I don't sort of fall apart. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied. So he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill. For the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird, thinks of another breeze and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees and the fat worms waiting on a dawn, bright lawn. And he names the sky his own. But the caged bird stands on the grave of dreams, his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied. So he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown, but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom.
Hi, my name is Philip Gardner, and this is my daughter Lila, and she's going to read something that's about keeping your humanity, that's about the opposite of divisions.
This is a poem entitled Outwitted by Edwin Markham. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle and took him in.
Think about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My turn. Ah, don't hit me.
This is
Yeah,
this
take that.
is well, this was written by Liz.
Yeah. Yeah, this was
check it
inspired.
out.
First inspired by a picture on Facebook of a friend. It's called Bras and Beards. Bras and beards, crazy stuff, trying to be open-minded, but it's getting tough to wrap my brain around some things that feel awfully strange. We got a president who tweets like a maniac, closes the government, and thinks he's on track to being the best prez that ever was. What the hell is he thinking? He's not. His brain doesn't exist. He's got one too many twists in his personality that creates a terrible dichotomy. Should he do what he says, which is scary and wrong, or do what he wants, which is worse than this song? Either way, it's no good. Either way, it's a crime. Get him out, please. I can't even rhyme. How upset and angry I feel. This whole world feels unreal with all that's happening. Turn off this bad reality show. I'd rather eat crow than deal with this schmuck. Impeachment is better than lying in this muck, this morass of insanity. We've got to do something fast. Please, please, help us somewhere, please. Who's got the power to make a quick change? Hurry up. There's not much time left before he destroys the whole continent. Oy vey is Mia, North Korea. Russian horror, oh my God, Russia. Carpe diem, European countries all are worrying and scurrying to offset his tariffs that have led to economic strife. Maybe we can cut his head off with a knife. That'll solve the problem right now real quick. Then we can move on to Pence. Oh no, he's another shtick. So holy and clean, I bet he's real mean under that fake demean. Or let Nancy take care of him. She's good at that. Off with his head, too. Ha ha, that'd be cool. Then she'd be the president. Oh my, how fine. That'd be great. We'd finally get answers and actions on things that need to be done, like selecting officials who'd get their jobs done. They'd help the people of the world unite. Wouldn't it be nice to stop the fights that hurt people in countries all over the world? They wouldn't have to take cover anymore and move forward with their lives as they did before. Thank you very much. I don't know how it went from bras and beards to the government, but it just happened, so I let it go. Okay. Thank you, Heather. You're welcome. That was great.
So, yeah, well, sort of an extension of that. You know, a lot of things have been said about Donald Trump, obviously, but one of the things that I thought was particularly apt was said, the comedian John Mulaney said that it's sort of analogous to if a horse was let free to run loose, like Trump is like a horse who was let free to run loose in a hospital, right? It's
Good analogy.
you know, we have this fragile country and world, fragile planet, and
Well, you don't want to diss the horses. You don't want to diss a horse. Horse lovers would resent that. My
Well-
friend Rachel wouldn't.
yeah, nothing against.
But we know what you mean.
Yeah. So with, you know, back to the climate change fragility issue, you know, a lot of people have now said we should stop calling hurricanes and these kinds of things natural disasters because we're, you know, contributing to what's going on. I mean, look what's going on tonight. Yeah, in fact, although Trump would say that, look, it's so cold, you know, that's we need some global warming. That's the level. That's the level. So on that note, this song is about unnatural disasters. Here comes that thunder, and here comes the rain. I sure hope that lightning doesn't strike me again. Cyclones and typhoons, tornadoes too. Donald, they should name a hurricane after you. Ah, you hit me like an earthquake. There was no way out. You hit me like a flash flood. You drained me like a drought. And there I was stranded in an inferno. Fiber alarm fire, volcano, and here comes that thunder, here comes the rain. I sure hope the lightning doesn't strike me again. Cyclones and typhoons, tornadoes too. Donald, they should name a hurricane after you. Tidal wave, total eclipse, panic on the beach, and all the other planets are either dead or out of reach, and it feels like a famine, and I feel so afraid. At first I thought it was a fever, but it turned out to be a plague. Here comes the rain. like me again. Cyclones and typhoons, tornadoes too. Donald, they should name a hurricane after you. Donald, they should name a hurricane after you. Donald, they should name a hurricane after you. Thank you.
From Mark Singer. Amazing. You know, we met at a kids thing that parents and kids get together. It's called Just for Grins on the Upper West Side. Parents and kids created this group, and then that's where we met. So.
Well, I was playing a song, and all of a sudden there was some violin coming out of the wall. And Liz was
Couldn't
sitting
resist.
in a chair in the corner, and then that's how it happened.
Okay, we're sitting down.
We're good.
I didn't know.
We'll be back.
All right, I'll put this back here then.
Okay, tough act to follow, but there we are. My name is Lama, like the Dalai Lama. And so I feel nervous. No, don't be nervous. Okay. Anyway, so what let me think. I had lots of things to say, and now I don't remember any of it. But well, I guess I would say, you know, we always talk about the psychopolitical and how it impacts our lives and our identity and what so on. And I'm Arab, unfortunately, but there we are. And I was born in Jordan, but my heritage is Palestinian, which I used to be really afraid of saying. You know, someone said Palestine is a 4-letter word, but it's not anymore, thank God. And this essay, I'm gonna you know, the two events that were quite significant in my life here in the US were September 11 and Donald Trump. Donald J. Trump. I wonder if J is for jackass. I was just thinking. Anyway, the title of my essay is Indefensible. It's about, you know, relates to how myself and my kids reacted to the election. And I tried really hard not to sound like I'm reading it, but I couldn't. You know, I don't know, tap dance with it, something didn't work. Anyway, so here it goes. The title is Indefensible, of my essay is Indefensible. So about 3 a.m. on November 9, 2016, the morning following the presidential election, I wake up startled to the voice of Donald Trump congratulating his followers. I cannot believe what I'm hearing as I turn the tuner to different radio channels. It is true. The new president-elect of the United States of America is Donald J. Trump. Catatonic, I lie in my bed, staring at the ceiling, stunned by this shocking news. I cannot go back to sleep. I had not realized until then how much I loved America and its people. Finally, I managed to get out of bed and walk in a daze to the kitchen. Our two little dogs follow me and wait as I pour myself a glass of water. With their ears perked up, they lean their heads to the side as if they can hear my thoughts and are asking me, is it really that bad? Our two cats sit up, perching on the bookshelf, uncharacteristically motionless and silent, as if sitting Shiva. Mourning for America and its people. My feelings of dread, The darkness, silence, and aloneness of the night remind me of September 11. Except this time there is no smoke rising in the south of Manhattan, and the American people are not standing side by side as they had done 15 years earlier. America the beautiful is divided. Your land is not my land. The brave and free are but a select few, and the Arab or Muslim is once again a pawn of the powerful who will use her for their end gains. When it's time, and as I walk toward my 15-year-old son's room to wake him for school, I wonder about my 18-year-old daughter who's a freshman in college in California. I knock at my son's door, and a lump of anguish and sadness grabs my throat. Instead of the usual good morning, I say, "Hillary lost." He lifts his head slightly off the pillow, turns toward me, and searches my face for a semblance of hope. Finding none, he flops his head back on the pillow, and I leave the room and close the door behind me. A few minutes later, he joins me at the dining table. He picks up his phone but does not attempt to eat. After a moment of silence, he asks, "But what happened? You said it was impossible for him to win." My mind races for a sensible answer. Instead, I remain silent, nod my head in despair, and keep my eyes on my plate. Although I have been living outside the country of my birth, Jordan, for more than 33 years, I continue to be on a temporary visa. And seemingly with that in mind, my son asks, "Are you going to be okay? Will you be able to stay in the US?" He looks as if he stopped breathing as he waits for my answer. I see the dread in his eyes, and I rush to soothe him. "Of course I'll be okay." Liar. Anyway, so over the past 6 years, my daughter had employed every measure a teenager could use to individuate, particularly from me, her only parent. She rarely explored her maternal Arab-Palestinian heritage, and although she felt at ease with her Italian roots, she was neither consciously aware of nor concerned with her paternal Jewish lineage. Before leaving for college, she insisted that she did not want to come home for Thanksgiving, perhaps not even Christmas. Following weeks of no contact, she calls on November 10, 2 days following the election of Donald Trump. "Mom, how do you identify yourself? On official forms, I mean, what do you cross?" "Other," I respond. "Do you consider yourself of color?" "Yes." "So I'm half colored?" "Yes." That evening, she texts, "I'm at a lecture on torture," as if she just encountered her dehumanized self. Her dehumanized half. She continues, "Israel does not prosecute torturers. Trump wants to reinstate waterboarding. Will you be okay? I'm worried about my cousins who are studying here. Could they be hurt or jailed? Will you be able to stay in the US?" Before I can respond, she texts again, "I want to come home for Thanksgiving." About 6 weeks after the elections, on our way back from Jordan, where I'm visiting family, my son and I have to change planes at Heathrow Airport. While going through border control, the officer who checks our passports utters the 4 words I often dread, "Come with me, please." As we are being questioned, I see other families cheerfully passing us by. Their ease is not my children's fortune. I look at my son and my heart breaks as I see his gaze fixed on the officer waiting for the verdict. I place my hand on his shoulder, and when he turns toward me, I smile as if to say, "We will be all right." We spend about 45 minutes being asked the strangest of questions. How long does it take you to get to school? Who is your home teacher? Who are your friends? Who's your closest friend? I know the drill. I cannot ask why. I cannot object, grimace, or even smile. When we are done, and as we walk toward the gate, my son looks at me and asks, "Is it because we were in Jordan?" I respond, "They want to keep us safe. They have to do what they have to do." Domination deforms and depresses as much as it inspires revolt, wrote Muriel Dimon. But when you are suspect, revolt is not an option. Deformity and depression is your share. You must continue to keep your head down, succumb to whatever comes your way, and concede that the crime you did not commit is indefensible. Thank you.
That was beautiful, thank you. I'm going to read a brief excerpt from a poem by Alfred Lord Tennyson called Ulysses. This is the one with the reverb. Hi, I'm going to read a brief excerpt of a poem by Alfred Lord Tennyson called Ulysses, who of course is Odysseus. This poem was written near the end of the poet's life, and apparently a friend of his had recently passed. I think that the inspiration is kind of being older, and I'm sure a lot of us, having lived through the past couple of years, I know I feel older in the experience of it. Odysseus was trying to get back to his home, to make things right. In his home, right? That was the whole point. He'd been waylaid after the war. And so I think that's where Tennyson took the inspiration near the end of his life, trying to get back to something that made sense. So this is very brief. "'Tis not too late to seek a newer world, though much is taken, much abides. And though that which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield."
Hello, my name is Françoise Jaffe. I want to thank Bonnie for inviting me to read this little piece that was published in, our great journal, Perspective, everyone. And it's really meaningful to me because it's about my father, Bernard Loris, who would have been 105 today. Not Jackie Robinson, but in my heart, very similar. And I was chuckling on my way here because it's so cold, and my father resisted everything, including aging. And when he was 99, my image of him is in the winter with the windows open, in his underwear, doing push-up in full view of the neighborhood, because he really believed in physical strength and staying in shape, whatever age he was. So this little piece is called "The Quiet Strength," and this is for Bernard Loris. "I remember when my father was 98, he sat around our dining room table during a meal, listening to the conversation swirling around him, filled with righteous indignation about some perceived wrongs. He looked at us and calmly, as was his wont, announced, "If you keep crying in your handkerchiefs, all you will have is a wet piece of cloth." My father, a resistance fighter, escaped France by foot over the Pyrenees in 1942 and was imprisoned for 9 months in Spain by Franco's regime while on his journey to become one of de Gaulle's Free French in England. A man of few words and many deeds. I remember him, when I was 8 or 9, telling me to protest when I felt some injustice had been committed, and my subsequent walking around with a placard, to everyone's amusement, shaking with both fear and determination. I no longer remember what the issue was, but I remember feeling I was trying to emulate him and make him proud. My father had a commanding presence and an emotional distance, a fierce integrity and a matching rigidity. I miss him more than ever in these troubled times, but I sure will not be caught dead crying in my handkerchief.
Trying to find.
That one has the echo too. We could share this one if you want.
Oh, this is an echo. Oh, it's. Oh, I see.
Good. Okay. Hi, I'm Janine DePire. Cleone and I are going to read a few little short excerpts and some longer excerpts from some poems. So I'll begin. This is a poem that I'm going to read only 3 short lines of, by Langston Hughes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun?
This is a short excerpt from Maya Angelou's Still I Rise. You may, I'm going to try and read it the way I saw her read it. She took great pleasure in this poem. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I rise.
All right. Some teenagers on the Queen Latifah show spoke their truths about America and the realities facing their generation. From one of them, a girl named Melissa Escobedo, there's a poem called Somewhere in America. I'm going to read a little bit of it. You never told us what we weren't allowed to say. We just learned how to hold our tongues. Now, somewhere in America, there's a child holding a copy of Catcher in the Rye, and there's a child holding a gun. But only one of these things has been banned by their state government, and it's not the one that can rip through flesh. It's the one that says, "Fuck you," on more pages than one. Oh, okay. So, Samantha Deitch, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, Deitch, is a Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School student in Parkland, Florida. She writes about hiding in a closet after the gunfire erupted, as well as texting her mother and a friend, Jamie Gutenberg, who died in the shooting. This is a poem called MSD Shooting Poem, My Experience. Yes, indeed, I turned 15 this day. Goodbye is something to my classmates I never got to say. I lost too many friends, thanks to Nicholas Cruz. Until gun policy changes, how many more do I have to lose?
This is by Langston Hughes. It's called Let America Be America Again. This was long before, you know. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain seeking a home where he himself is free. America was never America to me. There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? And who are you that draws your veil across the skies, across the stars? I am the poor, white, fooled, and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery's scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak. I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I am the worker sold to the machine. I am the Negro, servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean, hungry yet today, despite the dream. Beaten yet today. Oh, pioneers, I am the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker bartered through the years. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet, and yet must be, the land where every man is free, the land that's mine, the poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me, who made America, whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain must bring back our mighty dream again. Oh yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me. And yet I swear this oath, America will be. Out of the rack and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies, we the people must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains and the endless plain, and all the stretch of these great green states, and make America again.
On January 25th, 2016, when information on climate change was removed from the White House website and federal scientists were told to be silent, Jane Hirschfield wrote this poem. It's called On the Fifth Day. On the fifth day, the scientists who studied the rivers were forbidden to speak or to study the rivers. The scientists who studied the air were told not to speak of the air, and the ones who worked for the farmers were silenced, and the ones who worked for the bees. Someone from deep in the Badlands began posting facts. The facts were told not to speak and were taken away. The facts, surprised to be taken, were silent. Now it was only the rivers that spoke of the rivers, and only the wind that spoke of the bees, while the unpausing factual buds of the fruit trees continued to move toward their fruit. The silence spoke loudly of silence, and the rivers kept speaking of rivers, of boulders, of air. In gravity, tongueless, the untested rivers kept speaking. Bus drivers, shelf stockers, code writers, machinists, accountants, lab techs, cellists kept speaking. They spoke the fifth day of silence. And the last one here, I'm going to read one well known to many of you, probably, Emily Dickinson. Okay. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed her light on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Yes, we shall overcome. We shall overcome. Want to do We shall overcome. Everybody, let's sing. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday very soon. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
Okay, well, we're getting on in the evening here, and I think, well, I'm going to present a short essay that I wrote a few years ago, which I think is relevant to this evening, and I think maybe we'll play one more, and we'll wrap it up. But this is a small group we have here, but I think there's a lot of really beautiful things happening in this room tonight. It's beautiful. So thank you all for coming. This is, the name of this essay is The Spaces in Between. My parents weren't exactly hippies. They probably were, among other things, a bit too old. They were in their 30s and the 60s. Nonetheless, the Vietnam War abroad, the peace movement at home, and all of the associated images and music of that era formed a large part of the fabric of my early development. Our family went to Washington, D.C. and marched with thousands of others on the Mall to object to the war, and it seemed to me like the whole country was there that day. The scene felt chaotic, but safe and warm. The slogan that I remember most from that day, "War is not good for children and other living things." We were also quite near the grounds of the Woodstock Music Festival on that iconic weekend in late August, 50 summers ago. Although we did not attend that legendary event, its literal and figurative proximity seeped into my bones. The music that bathed that era and influenced so many was seared indelibly into my affective core. Guthrie, Seeger, Baez, Dylan, Peter, Paul and Mary, Judy Collins. My parents played the records and we all sang the songs. It was the soundtrack of my childhood. And when my parents were nearing 80 years old, my wife Sarah and I took them to see Judy Collins in concert one night, and she happened to be playing in the town where both Sarah and I grew up. We had not been back to our town with my parents in many years, but we were going home to hear the music. Like fondly anticipating a school reunion in which you have not seen people for decades, the image that you remember of a given person is somehow what you expect to still see. And for those people with whom you had some sense of connection, it's what you hope to still feel. This is even more the case when recalling someone like Judy Collins, who was so associated with an era that was driven by the ideals of youth. How could that woman with the flowing and flowering red blonde hair now be 71? Where have all the young girls gone? There she was, hair still flowing, gray, elegant, her voice mostly intact, but no longer an embodiment of youth who helped lead a generation of young people in their effort to save the world. Straining at times, she sang the songs still. Chelsea Morning, Leaving on a Jet Plane, Mr. Tambourine Man, This Land is Your Land. I wished throughout that the 91-year-old Pete Seeger would appear and sing along. He didn't. He didn't need to. He was there anyway. During intermission, my mom took out an old photograph of my parents that I had never seen before that had been taken roughly 40 years before. And there they were in their absolute prime. To me, they looked stunning. They looked as if they, too, could have saved the world. At least my world. As a kid, there was comfort in feeling that they could. As an adult, there is freedom in accepting that they could not. There are particular moments in life in which you become acutely aware that a great deal of time has passed, and that it managed to disappear in ways that were less than obvious. Looking at that photograph of my parents in all of their glory was one of them. Although I saw my parents regularly, I was suddenly struck with the realization that I could not escape the fact that they no longer look now the way they once did, the way they always will. After the show, around midnight, we drove to our old house. When we arrived, we got out of the car to try to get a good look. Peering into the dark, I looked around for signs of the life we left behind. I was searching for who I was then and who I am now. Both were readily visible, but neither could easily be seen. Long time passing, long time ago. Sometimes the song you most want to hear at a concert doesn't actually have to be played in order for it to be heard. It hovers in the air unsung. It fills the spaces in between. Thank you. So, what do you think, Bonnie? One more? We have what do we have time for? Two more? Well, I mean, it's getting a little late. Whatever. I mean, we can. Maybe one more to close it out, I guess. And let's get Cleone back up here to sing with us. Want to get on this mic, Cleone? We'll just introduce this song briefly, and we'll close out the night. Thank you all again for coming, and all the people that participated. Thank you, Bonnie Zindel, for yet another lovely creative salon. Okay, just a very brief introduction to this song, which is by Leonard Cohen. And Leonard Cohen said, some of you may recall that Leonard Cohen passed away the day before Trump was elected. Leonard Cohen said this, he said, "The world is full of conflicts and full of things that cannot be reconciled. But there are moments when we can transcend the dualistic system and embrace the whole mess. And that's what I mean by hallelujah." Say there was a secret chord David played to please the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Faith was strong, you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to her kitchen chair, she broke your throne and cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the hallelujah, hallelujah. Maybe I've been here before. I've seen these walls, I've walked this floor. I used to live alone before I knew you. Love is not a victory march, and oh no, it's a holy march. It's old and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 Was a time you let me know what's really going on below, but now you never show that to me, do ya? But I remember when I moved in you and the holy dove was moving too, and every breath we drew was hallelujah. Maybe there's a God above, but all I've ever learned from love was how to shoot somebody who outdrew you. It's not a cry you hear at night, it's not someone who's seen the light, it's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. Hallelujah. Cleone White, everybody. Thank you, Cleone. Heather Ferguson, Liz Taub, Bio Lizzie.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. And thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Mark Singer. Great, thank you.
It's his
Thank you,
birthday
Bonnie.
today.
Yeah, it's my birthday
Oh, happy birthday!
She wants one more song.
too. If you guys want to stick around, one more we'll play. How about it? Thank you. Thank you. All right, we'll play one more, and
Oh, an encore?
we'll all go home and in the cold. But one more Leonard Cohen.
Stay cozy.
Sorry. Okay. And a little up-tempo. let me feel you move like they do in Babylon. Show me slowly what I only know the limits of. But dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Touch me with your glove, but dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Oh, dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Dance to the end of love. Oh, dance me to the end of love. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I just want to thank a few people. I want to thank this great band, Liz, Heather, of course, Mark. Hey. And I want to thank Lissa Sharp, who isn't here right now, but she was the mother of one of the little girls. She helped so much on this, and I'd like to thank my daughter Elizabeth for doing the set design. And I thank all of you for coming and coming out on this cold night for this wonderful evening. So thank you.